We'll start the session with chanting Namo Tassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavatu Arahatu Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavatu Arahatu Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavatu Arahatu Samma Sambuddhassa. All right, are we meant to start with the colored graph or the colorless graph?
It was the colorless graph. We did the colored graph last time.
I think we
finished that, Bhante. The one-page one we didn't finish. We only did
We
the
will finish it.
the colored one, Bhante.
Yeah.
The colored one, Bhante. We have not done the kalapas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
and we didn't do the courses either. The 4 courses.
That's why it's kalapa. Yeah.
Yes. All right. The 4 causes, the kalapas.
Yeah.
Right. Now, can you see my screen, everyone?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So then what we are going to start today, did we finish the nutrition and all of that? No.
Yeah. No, we didn't go to. We
Nutrition.
have to do the 4 courses today, Bhante.
Lovely. Right. So the 4 causes, kamma, chitta, utu, ahara. Kamma, chitta, utu, ahara. Now the material phenomena that arises because of kamma, right? Because of kamma, we have, of course, all the containing factors, or rather the pieces of material, the materiality, which arises due to kamma, the suddhashaka, the pure octad, which is Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu. And of course, we have the Prasada Rupas, which all again arises because of kamma, right? I think it is clear to us by now as to why the Prasadas, the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body sensitivities are within the categories of the kalapa, within the categories of the kammaja or kamma born materiality there, right? Is it clear? Can
Yes.
someone explain that to me, please? Noeli?
What's the question? Sorry, what's the question, Bhante?
The question is, why is the Chakku Sota Ghana Jibha Kaya Pasada mentioned within the kamma kalapa, the causes, the cause of kamma? Hemamali?
Bhante, I think it arise from kamma, previous kamma resultant.
Right. At what point?
Pratisandhi chitta.
Leading
From
Prasisandhi Chitta.
From
It is connected to Parsandhi during the time of rebirth.
yeah.
Right? During the moment of
Time of rebirth, yeah.
During the time of rebirth, it is because of kamma that the 5 senses arise. Right? That the 5 senses arise. Right? Now, the 5 senses arise. Now, when we relate to, when we speak about the Kamaja Rupas, and when we refer to even the co-aspects, even with regards to the Hadevaktu, which arises specifically due to Kamaja Rupas, it must be remembered that these, when we say, or when it is insinuated that these factors arise because of karma, please understand that when we refer to the specific materiality which we see right here, right? When we refer to the specific materialities that are referred to here, this does not represent the physical materiality that we know. Do you understand? Now, when we know that the heart base, the moment that we say the heart base, we think of course, the heart. And we then know the story of the thick blood and all of that. But now, when we say because of Kamaja Rupa, remember it is the essence of that which now comes to arise. Right? It is the essence of that which comes to arise. Right? The condition, these are very, 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 very small, subtle material phenomena that exist. As a whole, in a collective, they can form something big. But in its natural individual form, these are very subtle, small phenomena, right? So when we say the eye sensitivity arises because of Kamaja Rupa, remember this is not speaking specifically about the whole eye, right? These are speaking about the essences which goes into form the eye that we know, right? The eye that we know. Do you understand? Right? All right. So Kamma would then have Chakku Sota Gana Jibha Kaya Prasada.
Bhante, question.
Yes.
Bhante, is it not necessarily the pratisandhi? During the pratisandhi, it's when you see a sad person, right? And you have eye sensitivity and chakku vijnana. So in that particular case, right, it is not necessarily the pratisandhi due to pratisandhi, it's due to pravritti karma. So it can be pravritti karma as well as pratisandhi.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Pravritti karma as well. It can be
As well.
well.
Yeah.
Here again, Damsiri, from your question, yes, of course, Pravritti karma penna puluwan. But again, from Damsiri, what Damsiri just pointed out, if we take the factors required in the motion of seeing, the factors required for the function of seeing to happen. We know there are four requirements, isn't it? Manasikara, Aloka, Chakku Prasada, and Vijnana. Right? These four must be present. If we just take the Chakku Prasada, now at that moment when we discuss Chitta Viti, that is where we got these four, right?
Yeah.
Discuss Chitta Viti and we use the word Chakku Prasada, we were referring to the whole entity of the Prasada. Now, if in English terms, we would refer to this as the iris, right? As the iris, not the iris. What is this called? The
retina.
The retina. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
The retina.
What is the iris actually?
Right. The retina. The retina, right? The retina. Now, in the Chittaviti chapter, when we say Chakku Prasada, we are referring to, for example, the retina, right? here within this chapter, when we say Chakku Prasada, we are essentially not referring to the retina. We are referring to the qualities of materiality present, which builds the entirety of the retina in a collective.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Right? Now, if I may put it in this way, right? If I may put it in this way, a material, a phenomena, right? For it to be able to operate now, material at the skin level, on the skin, and material in a sensitive place as the eye, the qualities are different. That is clear, right? The qualities are different. It is because of the differentiation of the qualities that the skin can withstand touch in this form, but the retina can't withstand this hardness rubbing against it if I was to do that to the eye, isn't it? Right? That is the differentiation between the phenomena. Now, this material chapter, these 28 types of rupas, it creates the condition, or it exists, I'm sorry, not creates a condition, it brings about the conditions required for the main phenomena as the retina to be what it is. So essentially, if let's say the skin has 80% hardness, 20% softness, I'm sorry, 80% hardness, 10% softness, water element, all of that in that picture, in that ratio, the quality of the Prasada Rupa of the eye is different in ratio and degree to allow the retina to be what it is. So basically, what it does, it exists with a certain condition of ratio between the elements to allow for that sensitive phenomena to be the sensitive, to form a sensitive phenomena, or rather be a part of that sensitive phenomenon. Right? To be a part of that sensitive phenomenon. Do you understand? Right? It is.
I think, Bhante, I think that's why another, I can't remember the name of the priest, he said that actually Rupa is some type of energy. It's not a material, it's not matter. It's a some sort of energy, that the quantity of energy that actually help you to build whatever the outcome you require. In this particular, if it is eye sensitivity, it is the source of energy to activate the retina.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So that in that way I can understand actually. If I look at it as sort of energy, then I can easily understand what you say actually.
Yes. Yes. Yes, I think that is very much true, Damsir. I think that is very much true and very much relevant to what the Abhidhamma presents as what Rupa is. It is not just a solidity factor here, the fact that we can touch it and mind we can't touch. It is a unique presence of a unique energy which is able to manipulate the physical structure of a collective. Right. And this collective is, of course, what we today know can be quark, leptons, and all of that. Right? Maybe in 10, 20, 30, 100 years in the future, we will know even more. But it has the ability to manipulate this phenomena. Right? So that is something to keep in mind when we go over these different facts, because I could very well see when we say eye sensitivity and then kamma, right? If we are just coming into the material chapter, it would be very easy for a person to misunderstand and think, okay, the retina comes into be because of kamma. No, that is not so. Right? It is not so. Yeah. Do you understand, everyone? Noeline? I think the computer is stuck.
Yes, Bhante.
Yes, yes, Padma.
So what you are saying is really, this is at the almost at the very beginning, before anything else is formed. Is that correct? It's a very subtle thing that comes on almost at the beginning, so that other things develop simply because this is present.
Now, Padma, I'm going to answer your question with this one. Now, let's take Jivitindriya,
Yeah,
right? The life faculty.
yeah.
Right? Now, think about the life faculty, right?
Mhm.
The life faculty as a phenomena, as a Rupa, exists, right? And it must exist
Yeah.
when karma is present, because it makes sure, or what its primary function is the continuity of the Rupa.
Rupa, yeah.
Now that seems to be, now with what Dhamsiri just mentioned, his point, it has a very unique, intimate relationship there. Because if it is just the phenomena has no mind.
Mm.
The
Yes.
phenomena has no need. The phenomena has no bhavatanha, kamatanha, viragatanha. It doesn't have any of these things.
Mm.
But life faculty is present in a way that it ensures continuity,
Mm.
which is
Yeah.
important for the sustenance of the material phenomena. Now think about that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a quality of an energy rather than a physical rupa that we know.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. And if it is not there, nothing will happen, I think.
If
So we
it-
need the Jivitendriya for its existence, isn't it?
yes,
Yeah. Okay.
the Jivitindriya must be present for the existence, and also when changes occur,
Mhm.
when changes occur, and change does occur all the time. When changes do occur, if the material phenomena is unable to keep with the change, then there is a disruption in the process of the material phenomena,
Mm. Yeah. Okay.
right? Then there is a disruption. The life faculty rather ensures or has the attribute, the ability to take on this change and to change with it in a way.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
It is almost as a shock absorption system, which is installed into a car or whatnot, right? The car is durable, but for it to be able to maintain or withstand the shock that it sort of goes through on the road, it needs a system in place. The Jivita Indriya, it ensures the material phenomena's continuity, which is more again an attribute of energy rather than an attribute of lifeless materiality.
Yeah.
That's right. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
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 All right. Is that clear?
Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else who might have a question mark? All right. All right. Now moving on. Then we have visible object. Sound we do not have in karma. Why is that? Why is that? Would anyone like?
Bhante, because it's out object, outwards. It's not inside.
It's an external object.
External, yeah, external. Yeah.
Correct, right? Because it is an external object, right? Then smell, taste, tangible object is with the earth, fire, and air, right? all of which is present with karma. Then we have femininity, masculinity, right? Heart base, life faculty, nutriment, and space limitation. Nutriment and space limitation, which all come under this karma, right? Which all comes under this karma. Do we know, can someone explain to me space and limitation with regards to karma? Why is that present there? Lakshman?
Bhante, I'm not sure, Bhante.
Okay.
Space and limitation, sorry.
Okay. Okay. Anyone? Padma, would you like to give it a go?
Well, I think space sort of is in between, it's sort of in between all the material between all the pieces of matter. That's the space is that little delineation of all those little pieces of matter that go to make that are together. That's the understanding I have of space.
Okay.
But only thing is in this chart, actually space doesn't go under this kammaji. If you look at the chart, the chart doesn't have space.
No, it does.
No, it doesn't.
In the color chart, it is
In the
there.
color chart, it doesn't have, isn't it?
It is.
Oh, it is. Maybe you have got a wrong, different color chart.
No, I got the Abhidhamma.com one, it doesn't have it. But anyway, maybe it's a mistake here in this one.
No, I mean, I'm from the Abhidhamma.com as well. And here we have it here.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have it under eye decad, ear decad, all that? Because space is present in all the kalapas, isn't it?
I think you're looking at a different chart.
Maybe,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Padma,
Okay.
page number 262, Padma. Page number 262.
Yeah, 262. I found it difficult. But even there in my book, it doesn't have it.
Number 19, space. 19.
Number 19.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's space. But
Yeah.
in mine, it stops. You see, the book separates anyway. But I don't have it. But it doesn't matter because I mean, it's present in all of them, isn't it? Should be.
All
I
right.
don't know whether anybody else has the same problem. I think Dil had the same book as me, I think, and Devika.
Bhante, I think it's a controversial thing actually, because some says it should be included in the merger. Some says it shouldn't be, because delimitation, the main function is delimitation of all the other elements. So some argue that actually you don't need this delimitation as long as.
See, that is why, Damsiri, if
Yeah.
in this chart as well,
Yeah.
if we go to this category here, karma born, clung to, and not karma born and not clung to,
Right.
here, that is presented here, you see.
Okay.
Space,
Yeah.
see,
Yeah, that's fine.
right?
Yeah.
These
Yes,
here.
right. Yeah.
Were you looking at that karma?
Yeah, I was looking at that, but I was looking at the one beyond that.
Okay, the ID card. Okay.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, yes, the delimitation, that is so. What that means to everyone else is it can be seen, or it is seen in two ways, right? It is seen in two ways, which is the space can exist as a result of the limitation of the physical attributes of Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu, Vanna, Gandha, Rasa, Oja. Right? Or the other school of thought is that space exists by its own right.
Mm.
Right? Space exists by its own right. I think it has to be taken on a case-by-case basis dependent upon the phenomena and the reason that it arises. Right? In another way, Theras explain in this manner as well. Whilst a kamma, when it manifests in Rupa, there can be a kamma which has energy to manifest different identities of Rupa. Right? Now let us say, for an example, because of a certain kamma that one performed, right? You are to get a rash on your neck, for example. Right? You are to get a rash on your neck. Right? A oozing kind of watery rash. Right? Now, that rash comes about, if we are to look at it or put it into the perspective of materiality, that rash is not just Patavi, it is not just Apo, Tejo, or Vayu. It is not just one Gandha, it is a different ratio, a unique ratio of all 8 of these. Right? And some Theras explain it in that manner as well. So it is good to know the different schools of thought. Yeah. Right? Hence, by the power of that kamma, the existence of akasa, or rather here space is given authority by the spirit of that kamma, just as Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu, Vanna, Gandha, Rasa, Oja are given power.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand the argument there then? Right? One says that space exists, the phenomena of space exists by the limitation of, or owing to the limitation of the most solid phenomena or solid rupas. Right? One says that akasa exists by its own right. That is explained to say that a kamma, when giving result, it is a kamma is able to manifest or give result to kammaja rupas and different categories of those rupas in accordance to the ratio of rupas in its differentiation required for example, a skin rash. Because the hardness of the skin rash is different from the hardness of your normal skin. The wetness of your skin rash is different to the wetness in your skin, if we talk about the elements. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Is that clear? Right?
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Is this a hard chapter?
No. Bhante, I think it's there's another point actually.
Yeah.
When it comes to 4 courses, you have space as a materiality,
Okay.
but when it comes to kalapas,
Hmm.
you don't have space.
Yeah.
The reason is the kalapa on its own, you don't need separate space.
Yes.
Because it exists as a group.
Yes.
Yes. But if you take individual rupas, then you need a space in between, like in between apo, tejo, like that, you know, individual elements.
Hmm.
So that may be the reason you Padma misread the Rupa in the Kalapas, space in the Kalapas and space in the four courses. Yes.
And we'll do that when Kalapa comes, but Kalapa also is supposed to have space, isn't it? But that's later on, so we'll wait.
Certain Kalapas. Dhamsiri was speaking about the Kammajas, right? Now, okay, but we'll come to it. Now, moving on. Then we have temperature. No, consciousness, I'm sorry, consciousness, right? Those materials or those rupas that come about because owing to consciousness, chittaja. There we have Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayo, right? Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayo. We do not have any of the Prasada rupas, right? Any of the Prasada rupas. This can come into, sort of, we can also relate this to the Ahetukas, right? Related to the Ahetukas and what we learned in the Ahetukas as well, Ahetuka Chittas, right? Then we have Vanna, Gandha, Rasa, Oja, nutriment, space, bodily vocal intimation, lightness, softness, adaptability, right? Lightness, softness, and adaptability, right? Now, bodily and vocal intimation, I think it is lucidly clear, isn't it? Why that becomes, or why that comes about, because of consciousness. We don't find that arising because of anything else, because it is because of Chetana that an action happens, right? The Chetana is mind, consciousness, right? Born of the mind, born of volition built within the mind, or comes to arise through the mind rather, right? We have space and nutriment that are both chittada, right? Now, what is this? What is this referring to? Let's speak about nutriment. What kind of nutriment comes about because of consciousness?
Because of taste?
No.
Just
Bhante,
Yes.
can I say, can I try? When you talk, yeah, your strength of your voice depend on the energy, nutritional energy you have. When you are, well, say, if you are having a sort of, if you're extremely hungry and you feel as if you are lifeless, then the voice also comes down, right? So that means it's directly proportional to the nutritional value in your voice, right? So yeah, that's how it explained by Bhante Jinalankara. So in order to have that, well, you will say something, if you're hungry for a couple of days, hardly you can't talk, right? And that is because the nutritional element is lacking, or it's extremely weak. Will that give you some sort of thought? Or is it the explanation you had in mind?
Dhamsiri, what is then the definition of nutrition?
Definition of nutrition is the again energy factor coming from the food, we'll say, yeah. ahara, Kabalika ahara. So in good example is actually when you get a mango in your when you try to eat a mango, you know that in the mango itself it has got oja,
Yes.
and then when you eat it, that oja with your own oja in your, we'll say, that's when actually when it comes to temperature, the in the grouping of temperature, right? So so that actually it merges, and it it gives you more strength to the oja in your temperature grouping, right? And so practically when you eat mango, the oja in the mango comes to the oja in your temperature groupings, and it enhance the nutritional value, right? And so that the relationship is actually, its oja is also it directly sort of energy that you need to sustain your activities.
Okay. Hemamali, you wanted to say something?
Bhante, it allows more kalapa to form.
Yes.
More,
Oja has the ability to manifest other groups.
more kalapa.
Right. Now, another example that I could think of, which might be a little bit less confusing, would be in the Aganya Sutta, when it speaks about the initial Brahmas who were reborn into the human realm. Do you remember that in the beginning they were not beings who ate? Right? They were beings who sustained, their bodies sustained by the power of dhyanic bliss. Right? By the power of dhyanic bliss. Now, that can come as chitta ja, chitta ja to the mind as well. What Dhamsiri mentioned is also true, where the ojas, actually what Dhamsiri mentioned and what Hemali mentioned are the same thing, right? Where then when something is consumed, now what is consumed by the power of what has now been newly consumed supports what is already in store, right? What is already in store. Now let us also say something of this sort. Now there is enough energy in the body, but no energy in the mind. Now the energy of the mind arises. What happens now? Now the body is able to make use of the other nutrition available within the body, owing to the spirit of the nutrition which has now been gained by the mind, or owing to the mind. Right? So it has different ways that it would work. Remember also aharas, there are how many types of aharas? 4 types of aharas, isn't it?
Yeah.
What are the 4? Do you remember?
Kabalika,
Kabalinkara, Anosanchita, Jnana. I can't even remember.
whatever it is.
Let me Google.
You always remember Kabalika.
Get that one.
Yeah.
All right. So it is Kabalinkara Ahara, Passa Ahara, Mano Sanchetanika Ahara, and Vinyana Ahara. Right? And Vinyana Ahara. Now, physical food, regardless of what we think, is the weakest form of nutrition.
I see.
Right?
Mhm.
That the body has. Actually, physical food to a mind that is healthy, you will find that you need less food. Right? Less food. Now, Passa Ahara is the second weakest. Right? Which is the mind that feeds off the sensual pleasures gained through contact, or rather sense impression that is left by contact. Do you understand? Right? Now, this might be more clear. You know, you put aside the nutritional aspect of food, right? We chase after the taste of food. Now that is Passa Ahara, right? And of course, that's the food side. But even if it is to feel a certain way, now if you will take now silk on the body, or certain type, not all cottons, but certain types of cottons feel very good when you wear, right? Now the mind that clings to that sense impression, that is Passa Ahara. Do you understand? Right? Passa Ahara. Then we have Mano Sanchetanika Ahara. Mano Sanchetanika Ahara are the volitions. Right? Now, a new mother, before the birth of the child, was confused, did not know what to do. But now when the child is born, she has a volitional strength to do whatever is within her power to sort of give the child a good upbringing, for example. Now, in a way, almost empowering her with energy to do what it takes, to get up in the morning, to wake up every time the child cries, and be committed to the process of mothering. That is Mano Sanchetanika Ahara. Do you understand? Right? Mano Sanchetanika Ahara. Then we have consciousness, Vijnana Ahara. Right? Vijnana Ahara is that which is gained by the consciousness itself. Right? By the consciousness itself, by the spirit of the consciousness itself. It is different to the Passa Ahara and Mano Sanchetanika Ahara, which both had objects. Now the object of consumption is the mind itself. Do you understand? Right? Now, those three types, the nutrition, to then understand nutrition, we must then remind ourselves of the 4 types of nutrition, which we just went through. Do you understand? Jhanic bliss. People are able to meditate for long amounts of time without food or consuming anything. Jhanic bliss. Right? Monks can go on without eating for, eating very little portions when you meditate a long time. Right? Very little portions of food, and you can go on through your whole day, sometimes a couple of days, with very little food. Right? That is that sense of nutrition. So it is not just Kabalinkara Ahara. Do you understand?
Yeah. If you happen to go to the Brahmaloka, you don't eat anything.
Yes.
because you get the nutrition from the Priti.
Priti.
Yeah.
Priti
Yeah.
Sukha. Yeah.
Yeah, Priti Sukha. Yeah.
Priti Sukha. Yeah. All right. So I read somewhere some time ago that if humans lived like gods, that would be the most wholesome way of living, right? Which is to reduce the amount of gross food intake, to base life on more the intake of the other nutritions, right? And to sort of go on to that sort of healthy lifestyle, light, that sort of a thing, that sort of a thing. I read somewhere a long time ago, some monk had written it, right? And I think it makes a lot of sense, isn't it? I think it makes a lot of sense. And even with modern sort of dietitians and everyone, there was a dietitian who had coded the Buddhist monk's diet, which was eating once a day and intermittent fasting between meals and all of that, which is actually, there was a guy I listened to, actually, very interesting, very, very interesting. He was diagnosed with cancer, with a specific type of cancer, and he just stopped eating, right? I know a monk who was Croatian, who was living in Avisabella, I forget, Kandaboda, who was living in Kandaboda. He had a bowel cancer and he stopped eating completely. And to the doctor's surprise, after he went on this meditation and sort of no eating diet, only sort of fluids, the cancer, for him, it disappeared, right? It didn't sort of, it just disappeared. Right. And even that the neuroscientist, it was a neuroscientist who got cancer, who I was listening to about a couple of days back. For him, the same thing happened. He stopped eating, he started respecting his body, the cancer disappeared. Right. His levels dropped drastically. So really, out of all the foods, let me reiterate, out of all the foods, Kablinkara Ahara is the grossest, weakest, and of course, the least nourishing as well. Right, which is kind of funny for us, isn't it? Which is kind of funny for us, yes. So, okay, let us get back. Temperature, right? Temperature. Temperature. All right. Is consciousness then clear? The different attributes of consciousness, is it clear? Right? Noeline, are you struggling a bit with this chapter? What's going on? We can't hear you, Noeline. The mic is off. Okay.
Yeah, my line gets cuts off every 5-6 minutes.
Okay.
I don't know, it's just me or the others are having the problem as well.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
No,
So
we don't have any problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Noeline, how is this chapter going for you?
When you read it a few times, Bhante, it makes sense.
Yeah, but again, what I would recommend is those definitions that we found a couple of pages before. You have to have the definitions next to it and then look at this chart, and then it will be so much more clearer. Without having those definitions, that I think I have to highlight those as well. Without having those definitions in mind, this part is going to be right. This part is going to be a little bit difficult, right? But it's okay. We will endeavor. We will survive. Okay. Now.
Thank you, Bhante.
Now, okay, moving on. Temperature. Temperature. Because of temperature, the rupas that arise. Patavi apo tejo vayo, vanna gandha rasa oja, nutriment, space limitation, lightness, softness, adaptability. Lightness, softness, adaptability, you could imagine because of temperature, how this affects the lightness, softness, and adaptability of physical phenomena, right? Of physical phenomena. Nutriment and space limitation. space you could again understand by nature of space and of course temperature, how that is also affected, right? How that is also affected. Nutriment. Now, how is nutriment affected here? By cause of temperature. By cause of temperature. What do you think? Nutriment caused by temperature. Utuja. Any ideas? Yes.
Bhante,
Yes.
medically what I can say is the temperature is needed for the breakdown of the food. There should be a certain temperature. Unless you read that temperature, the enzymes won't act. And you can't break down the food materials. That's what I think.
Yes. I was thinking the same. But any other sort of additions? Because of temperature. Anything? Damsiri? Anything? Can't hear you.
Yeah, the only thing I can do is support Mala because temperature is vital for really existence. Warm-blooded.
Yeah, but the only
No,
but
because yeah. So again, I can't see anything extra. Apart from because it's root teja, it's again the fluctuation of seasonal fluctuations actually changes the performance of human, right? Things like the animal go on hibernation, right? That means hibernation is actually to practically shut down the metabolic activities of the body to very minimal, just to sustain life, right?
Yeah.
And in winter, especially in this part of the world, the animal, they go for hibernation, and that's again a result of Rutuja effect or the temperature effect.
You know, something interesting. There was this time, I'm just remembering this as you mentioned, Damsiri, with hibernation. You know, there was a group of doctors who came into the monastery and they did not a laparoscopy. What's the scopy that you do?
Endoscopy.
The
Endoscopy?
Yes.
Endoscopy.
So they came in and they were doing it now, you know, and they were doing this endoscopy too because monks have a lot of sort of, you know, gastritis and these different problems because, you know, we are children who don't know how to eat their vegetables. So I'm kidding. So, so they came and did this sort of endoscopies on us, and you know, so with that, of course, the workers in the monastery, you know, they also came, you know, because, you know, it was happening, so why not, right? And so what they found was the workers who would eat 3 meals, you know, morning, lunch, and dinner. The monks mostly would only eat either breakfast and lunch or just lunch, right? So almost all the monks, right? Almost all the monks at this was 10 o'clock in the night, we still had food in our stomach. After eating at 11:30 or finishing our last meal at 11:30 in the night, we still had food in our stomach. And all the men, the workers, right, they had nothing in their stomach. Even after eating dinner. Even after eating dinner, they had nothing in their stomach, right? Which was quite particular, and of course, a very gross sight to see all the food that you've eaten in your stomach. Right? Which was also very particular to all of us monks. And I remember it, I would say, when you spoke about hibernation, you know, so in a way, whether the body has now sort of, got used to that sort of process of time to digest the food. Maybe it's not healthy. Maybe that's a very unhealthy thing for the body, you know.
Bhante, maybe they work hard and digest their food real quickly. Energy goes away quickly if they're doing hard work.
Excuse me, we do work as well.
Monks mostly meditate in one position. You meditate a lot, you say. So you're not sweating it out.
Well, no, sometimes we have to work in the forest, especially if you're a Samner, it is like slave labor. You know what I mean?
Oh.
So no, but it was quite particular. But regardless, here, when it comes to, so all of you are correct, basically, right? When it comes to Utuja Rupa, this is Utuja, right? Because the nutrition must arise because of the Utu, right? The nutrition must arise because of the Utu. So here it speaks about the temperature existent within the body, which helps in the process of converting the gross food into nutrition absorbed by the body. Right? Absorbed by the body. Right? Absorbed by the body. So even if food is smeared, right? Food is smeared on the body. Now we know things like goat's milk is very good for the skin. You know, milk with saffron is very good for the skin. It makes the skin supple. Honey is quite good for the skin. Right? Honey is good for the skin. All of these things, they are absorbed. The nutrition available within these things that you then put on the skin are absorbed by the skin. There is an element of Uttu that can be present in that moment as well. Right? In that moment as well. The specific or the main function that we often talk about is the Uttu within the body, which helps in the process to convert the gross food to get now converted into nutrition, or sort of the nutrition being absorbed from that food by the body. Right? That is what we then refer to as Uttuja Rupa. Right? Uttuja Rupa, when it comes to nutrition. Okay? When it comes to nutrition. Then we go on to nutriment. Aharaja Rupa. Right? Aharaja Rupa. Aharaja Rupa, we have Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayo, owing to Aharaja. Let me just share the screen again. We have Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayo arising because of Aharaja, right? Then we have Vanna, Rasa, Vanna, Gandha, Rasa, which is again Aharaja, and nutriment and space limitation, right? Nutriment and space limitation, right? Now, what is the nutriment that we are referring to on as a cause, and the nutriment that we are referring to as a result? Yes, Sujata.
Nothing.
Ah, okay, Sujata. What
The
is
pure of
yes? Did someone have
is it the pure octad and the lightness triad undecayed? I mean, if for under nutriments, it says so in the book. It was just a thought.
no? Damsiri, why is Dil silent today? Dil, it is very odd when we don't hear your voice, Dil.
I'm giving you the joy of absolute silence. No, Bhante, I have a lot of programs on these weeks, Bhante. So I don't, and I don't have these charts either. So when the Rupa chapters, I miss 4, and I don't have the time to read because I have a lot of commitments. I might have to do a lot of things. I might have to miss some classes. So but I don't like to miss it because at least if I come and listen, something goes in. But I haven't read, I don't have the chart. So it's very difficult for me to follow. So I don't like to contribute if I don't understand and it doesn't mean something. So I just listen and absorb because I can't stay away from the class. But I do not have the time to give it the value of reading and understanding and being a part of it like I do for all the others. So I rather prefer to stay silent and listen to others. Sorry about that, Bhante, but it's just beyond my, it really, I shouldn't even be here, but I do at least come because I need to go.
Thank you. So what is the difference between the nutriment as a cause and the nutriment that is being mentioned under the nutriment category of the 28 rupas? What is the difference there? Damsiri, you wanted to say something?
No.
Okay.
No.
What is the difference there? Now we have nutriment as a cause and nutriment that arises as a result. What's happening in that mix there? Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Vanna, Gandha, Rasa, Oja, and Akasa. Akasa and lightness, softness, adaptability, right? Lightness, softness, adaptability, I think we know it's understood, it's given. We understand that, right? Space limitation, of course, right? Nutriment is the question.
Bhante, what I can think is, as Hemamali mentioned previously, when you take something to eat, kalapas are formed and they form another kalapa, and keeps going on adding up.
Correct.
So that, in that way, the nutriment is a cause.
Yes.
And as a result, is you can say born of temperature, because of the temperature, you get nutrients.
Correct, Mala. Correct. Right. All right. Moving on. Right. I hope that is clear. Everyone, did you get that?
Bhante, when Mala says kalapa is formed, it's a nutritional kalapa because from nutrition you can't get chittaja kalapa, or it's a multiplication of nutritional kalapas. Yes.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
It's a manifestation of the same element of kalapa, which is the nutrition. Right? Okay. Wonderful. Now, moving on. Now, the 9 karma born, right? the 9 karma born. I decard, right? The 9 karma born. Now, this is that jumble of words that we read before this chart began, right? This is, I guess, by the whole reason that we started on the sort of this chart, really, right? Now, the I decard, right? Now, the I decard right, has to have the difference, of course, within these decades is that from the 5th to the 9th arises respectively, right? Arises respectively. So in the I decade, we have Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Chakku, Prasada, Vanna, Gandha, Rasa, Oja, right? Vanna, Gandha, Rasa, Oja, and life faculty and nutriment, right? That forms the I decade. When does the I decade arise? Hemamali.
Bhante, when it impinges with the external object.
Correct.
Or chitta. Yeah.
All right. When it impinges, correct. Right. Now, at that time, let's go through each one, right? So that maybe then we can just go to the body decade after, because it's a given. It's a repetition there, right? Let's go through each one of the I decade. Now we have Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu. Does that need explanation? Why that arise? It has to arise, right? If it is karma born, right, it is part of the pure octad. It has to arise, right? Eye sensitivity is the respectful impingement, the place where the impingement occurs. Hence we have eye sensitivity. Then we have Vanna, Gandha, Rasa, Oja. Vanna, Gandha, Rasa, Oja. And Jivitindriya. Vanna, Gandha, Rasa, Oja, and Jivitindriya. What do we have to say about this? Remember, we are in the Rupa chapter, not Chittaviti, right? Vanna, Gandha, Rasa, Oja, Jivitindriya. Why is Gandha there?
Bhante, because it's belongs to the Shuddhastaka.
Okay.
It has to come together.
Okay, so
always.
what is the function of it? What is its contribution within the collection of the decade? What is its contribution?
To produce Chitta Chaitasika, Chetana, Chitta.
That was no. not all the time. Right.
Bhante,
Yes.
is it that yes, it has a minimal influence on that kalapa, but other kalapas cannot exist without this basic even elementary level of the Gandha element. Yeah. So there should be a little bit of Gandha in the ID card.
Sure.
Yeah. But remember that this kalap, this Gandha is different from Gandha in the Suddhastaka.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Because Suddhastaka has its own Gandha. right? And but that Ganda does not interfere with this Ganda,
Yes.
right? Because that's why a lot of people, even here, I try to explain Mala one day. Yeah, because a lot of people, they try to say that, oh yes, Suddhastaka plus eye consciousness. That's the eye decade. But no, it's not Suddhastaka plus eye decade. Suddhastaka by on its own, and then you have eye decade with the separate Ganda, separate Oja, and separate all the components.
Yes.
Do I understand correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. According to because of the respective uniqueness of the function.
that's right. Yes.
Because of the respective uniqueness of the function, it can't all be the same. Because remember, this, it might, even if we say, okay, if we say Suddhashtaka, it is a common standard. However, when we refer to the decades and the decades and all of that, remember that's a unique signature there. So we cannot compare it to the normal Suddhashtaka that we are referring to, right? The normal Suddhashtaka that we are referring to. Also, for the building of the sensitivity with regards to the object that is comprehended, although it might not be connected to the smell is present as a phenomena to further enhance the uniqueness and the accuracy of the object, the effect of the object, or rather the effect of the impingement, right? It is like this. There was a study which was done, right, where it was the same dessert, right? But the smell of the dessert was different. It looked the same, but the smell was different. The taste was also the same. However, people felt the taste to be different just because the smell was different. While it was the same dessert, only the fact that one dessert, the smell was changed. They had put something around it so that it smells different, right? Not irksome, it was just different. Hence, the people thought the taste was also different, right? I feel like that is not an accurate way of explaining this, but the further sensory allowance here allows to prove or bring about a more unique experience to what is experienced through the impingement. Do you understand? Right? It is almost as if we take a 2D image and a 3D image. Because the components to analyze are more vivid in a 3D image, you have a better sense of what the object might be on a 3D image rather than a 2D image. The information for you to extract an understanding from the image is grossly more compared to the data available on a 2D image. It is just the fact of there is more data to build a unique signature. In a similar fashion, we have smell here. Although smell does not have anything to do with the sight, it brings a sense of uniqueness to what is seen. To build a unique signature with what is seen. Hence, we have the ID card there in that manner. Is that understood? Yeah. Okay. Now, then we have, of course, the ear, nose, tongue, and the body dechan, which the change is only the respective Prasada rupas, right? The respective prasadas, is that all of that falls under karma born. All of that falls under karma born. Okay? Because remember, the functioning of the five senses are due to previous karma accumulated. Is because of previous karma accumulated. Right? How do we know that? The ahetukas are how we know that. Right? It's because the ahetukas that we know that. Remember? First chapter. Okay. So in that process, now when a ahetuka consciousness arises, upeka sagata chakku vinyana arises, in respective or in spirit of that consciousness, right, that now needs to be processed, or now you need to see something. In unison now arises the ability within the chakku rupa, the dhatu here, to allow you to see. Now that, when that consciousness arises, this is what unfolds. Do you understand? So 9 karma born, and within that 9, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body. All right. Now, moving on. Any questions? Okay. Masculinity, femininity, and masculinity. Now, femininity and masculinity, when these karma-born functions come about, the only differentiation between these two is the masculinity and femininity respective. To that, what arises? Right? To that, what arises? Right? Now, remember, now this is something that my Abhidhamma teacher pointed out. Just because the physical attribute is masculine, the consciousness need not be masculine. Do you understand what I'm saying here? Just because the material is masculine does not mean that the mental attributes are masculine. There can be a masculine material, masculine mental. There can be a masculine material, feminine mental. There can be a feminine material, masculine mental, or a feminine material and a feminine mental. Those possibilities are also shown within the Abhidhamma. Right? Can be also shown in the Abhidhamma. Then there is also the possibility, there's also the possibility of the mental attributes changing within the masculine and femininity. It need not be a continuous process of masculinity. It need not be a continuous process of femininity. These things can very much change within the mental. And in certain circumstances, we have also seen this change happening in the physical. Remember the stories? We don't need to go into the stories, right? The spontaneous sex changers that we have seen, the stories that are found. Now that is also possible, right? That is also possible. Do you understand? Right? And those examples are then used to also then quote the transition which can happen between the masculine mental and the feminine mental, and the feminine mental to the masculine mental and back as well. Yes, Dhamma.
Bhante, in what you say is, when you are born, you have feminine decards, yeah? And is there any chance that you can actually change that to masculine during the process of your life? Or
Apparently,
it inhibit one and the reappear the other, some sort of thing, you know? So in other words, you might have in certain people, you might have a tendency of suppress femininity and more sort of enhance masculinity. But there's a chance that we can have other way around. Yeah. So this is something, it can change during the process of your life.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, what I believe is inherently, now when we go on to who was the Jungian, was it Jung? No, it was not Jung. The psychological, okay, are we talking about the physical Dhamma? Can't hear.
In Chaitisikas also.
Yes.
In mental Chaitisikas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That transition can very well happen. Right?
Yeah.
That transition can very well happen. And also for the mental attribute, for the mental, I mean, Dhamma, think about it. Through samsara, we have all been males and females.
Yes.
That clear as daylight.
Yeah.
Right? From birth,
Yeah.
we have differed, right? From males to females, females to males. The mind has the propensity to exist within that spectrum, and the mind can be fluid.
Yeah.
The pivot appears to be the body, which then would condition the mind to behave and appear in a certain manner. But as we know very clearly, the mind continues beyond the body, and the mind is very much able to and has the ability to be both male, female, and also genderless. If we look at it in that scope.
Yeah.
Right? So with modern psychology, the existence of gender fluidity and gender on a spectrum comes very much in line with what we know happens through rebirth. Right? I can't remember who the psychologist was, but I can tell you next week, either in Jungian psychology or I can't remember, it was a very, very old psychologist. What he mentions is our mentalities are inherently different, right? Our mentalities are inherently different, and the way of nurturing the different sexes are also different, right? But those nurturing techniques fall into, or a major part of those nurturing techniques fall into the climate of society when we grow up. It is almost as if now, possibly when Dhamsiri, for example, you were younger, I imagine maybe your father did not allow you to go to the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
Right? It was not a very boyish thing to do, for example.
Yeah.
Right? Now, with that, maybe you never went to the kitchen and Mala is suffering because of it. Right? But now it is nothing to do with Dhamsiri not being able to cook, but it has all the more to do with the training that we go through in the process of society, that the time that we are brought up. But
Yeah.
that flexibility of mind is present
Yes.
within us.
Yes.
The potential of change between the spectrum is present, and that is also clear within the Dhamma.
Yeah.
That it is very much present.
It's interesting to tell you that even though I have never been allowed in the kitchen, now I am forced to go to the kitchen and cook. So you can see the transition.
Now this is what we call Abhidhamma in daily life.
Bhante,
Yes, Devika.
Bhante, even which I have noticed only when I came to the US, only because I worked for a gay company. So amongst them, you can see this difference very well, one acting as a woman, and like, although they are males, but their attitudes and, changes you can see, like what you mentioned now.
Yeah.
So they can transform like that too, working for this AIDS healthcare thing.
Yeah.
I've noticed. Yes.
Yeah. Devika, we shouldn't say transform. There is no transformation. It is,
Okay.
it is what we genetically are. Right?
Okay.
It is what we genetically, when we say transform.
No, when you were mentioning some people acting as real women, though they are men, and so that's what I point out that I've seen.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And these are possibilities and variations of consciousness that are very much seen within the Abhidhamma, and that sort of degree of transference between and living within the spectrum is also something that we find within the Abhidhamma, and something that we acknowledge in Buddhism as well. Right?
Yes.
Something that we acknowledge within Buddhism as well. So now, then moving on, right? So then that is clear. Masculinity, we are out of time. Okay, let's just do the two others and then finish it, yeah? So then we have the base Descartes and the vital nonad, right? The base Descartes, now what is the base Descartes? The base Descartes is Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu, Vanna, Gandha, Rasa, Vanna, Gandha, Rasa, Jivit, Indriya, Ahara, and Akasa. Jivit, Indriya, Ahara, and Akasa. Now, at what time does the base nonad arise?
Bhante, probably you are the base. The card is one with the hard base.
Yes. Yes, the hard base.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry.
Yeah.
Hard base, life faculty, and nutriment.
That's right. Yeah.
Hard base, life faculty,
and nutriment.
Okay. So when does the base Descartes arise? Yes, Dhamsiri.
It's a part during the they will patisandhi chitta. The first one is the most first one is the out of the three base decade, or the what do you call in Sinhala, Vastu Dasaka,
Yeah.
and but that's actually the seat for the consciousness.
Yes. So then in layman terms, it would arise at what moment?
With the mano consciousness, or with
mind objects,
mind object, yeah.
right? With mind objects,
Mind object, yeah.
right? With mind objects. We have the heart base, life faculty, and nutriment.
Yeah.
Is that clear, everyone? That composition, is it clear? Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu, Vanna, Gandha, Rasa, Hadevaktu, Jiviti Indriya, Ahara, or Oja. Patavi,
So the-
Tejo, Vayu, Vanna, Gandha, Rasa, okay, Vanna, Gandha, Rasa, Oja, Jiviti Indriya, and Hadevaktu. Right? Jiviti Indriya is there, why? For the continuity
life.
of life.
Yeah.
Here, the continuity of life, right? Because of course it's karma. Karma, its attribute is to, just like for example, a ahara rupa, when it creates, it will now multiply. Karma has this feel of taking it forward, right? Just as the philosophy of Genesis, where we are all procreating with the nature of spread continuation of data, genetical data, just in the same manner, karma has a function of wanting to continue its flow, right? Continuing its flow. That is Jivitindriya. Hadevatu is when mano, now the door of impingement is the mano door, the Hadevatu, the seat of mind, right? The seat of mind. Is that clear? Any questions?
So, Bhante, so that means the seat of mind appears only when you have a object in your mind, mind consciousness.
Seat of mind appears only when you have an object of the mind consciousness. Yes, because because consciousness can arise. It is the same process as what happens at the seat of mind that happens in Chakku Sota Gana Jiva Kaya.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? That's understood.
Yeah.
යම් කිසි රූප ධාතුව පදනම් කරගෙන consciousness එකක් හට ගන්නවා. When the physical base is missing, now the mind arises on the physical base of the Hadevaktu. That is called mano.
Mano, yes.
Right? The adversion to the mano is mano dwara avarjana. Adversion to mano. Right? Now, remember everyone, going back to chitta viti, the chitta viti runs in the mind. It is quite funny when the mano dwara avarjana comes because it's already mano. Isn't it?
Yeah.
But in the process of mano dwara vachana, we are adverting to a specific nature of the consciousness. This nature is more about the mind guiding the mind rather than the flowing of the mind.
Yeah.
You understand? The mind can flow, the mind can guide. The other processes are more of flow, not guide. The Manodwara Bhajana is more on the lines of guide, not flow. Do you understand? right? When the path is changed or path is allocated, the mind follows that path. Now it's flow. But at the mind adverting consciousness, it guides. It shows this way or that way, owing to a number of reasons, but it shows this way or that way. Do you understand? Okay. Then we have the vital nonad, right? The vital nonad is Patavi Apo Tejo Vayo Vanna Gandha Rasa Oja Jivitindriya and nutriment. Right?
Oja is already mentioned.
Oja is already mentioned.
Yeah.
Oja is mentioned.
Yeah.
Jivitindriya. Everything which was there in the base nonad minus the hard base.
Yeah.
Vital nonad. Right? Vital nonad. Where does the vital nonad arise?
Not with us.
Asangatale.
Yeah. Asannatala. Yes.
Non-percipient.
Yes. Non-percipient. Right? Okay. All right. So we will wrap up the session for today. Right? Wrap up the session for today. Just as we ask with every sort of defining position, we ask, where does this arise? When does it arise? Why does it arise? If you are able to understand or look at it in that manner, you will also get it very much easily, very much easily, because then you know exactly why those differentiations are present, right? Why those differentiations are present. Okay then. Yes, Padma.
Can I just make a request, please? I think the last, I don't know whether there are problems with IT, but the last Abhidhamma lesson is also still uploading.
Really?
Your last session.
Oh, okay.
And
I will
if you can please upload both, that will be very useful. Thank you.
I will. I thought it, does it mention that it is being uploaded?
Yeah, well, you get those 3 dots saying uploading, and then it says it will be, but that it will be seen on the 21st of September or something like that. But
Okay.
it has not changed over the last 2 weeks or so.
I will check that out. Apologies.
Thanks.
Yeah. I will check that out. Okay then. Thank you, everyone. Noelin, do you have anything to say? I guess not. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
No.
Have a
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Good night.
Cheruvan Saranai Bhante.
Awesome.
Bhante, listening only. That's all I could say. I'm a good listener.
Thank you, Bhante.
All right.